Well, even before we launched our Rescue and Restore theme, you were hearing the name of Dylan French, a 20-year-old from Uxbridge, Ontario, who died on January 6th this year by suicide. Our CEO, Don Simmonds, was his hockey coach, and this devastating loss in significant ways has helped to fuel the vision for this media ministry that we're in. It is a privilege today to first welcome Don back, and he has brought with him Dylan's mom and dad, and we're so thankful, Jamie and Cheryl, that you've had the courage to come and share this journey with us. I'm going to show, am I losing it? I'm going to show this picture of your family. Tell us who we're looking at, and when was this taken? Oh, I see a Christmas tree.
This was taken December 29th, 2011, about 10 o'clock at night, just a week before Dylan chose to go.
Just 1 week before. His sister, Nicole, is at university. Is she older or younger?
She's younger. She's 2 years younger.
Just a little
She's at
bit.
Western.
How's your family doing?
Day by day is the best answer. It's the last 9 months have been very, very obviously difficult. The Lord has been blessing us through this tragedy, and our family is growing and getting stronger as the months go by. But it's tragic, and I don't know.
Tell us a little bit. I'm so glad that you brought your scrapbook. Cheryl, this is your handiwork. You have a favorite page. Why don't you find your favorite page for me? Everyone is beautifully done. Look at this. Look at this.
His cousin made that.
All you scrapbookers out there are going to be appreciating the artistry here.
This is my
This is
favorite
the,
page.
oh, this is like a mini vacation. Look at the blue. And look at this handsome young man.
This was,
That was last summer.
Last summer.
he worked almost every day last summer, and his girlfriend and him decided to come up to the cottage and surprise us for our anniversary. So we were fishing, and 2 kayaks came across the lake, and it was Dylan and Katie, and the whole rest of the weekend we hiked and we water skied, and I was astounded that they could do that, but these were my favorite pictures of Dylan from last year.
So important to have these memories and to remember so many good things. Was there anything at all, I'm sure you're asked often, to give you cause for concern that Dylan might do something this desperate?
I think, in hindsight, you can see things and patterns and things along the way. Certainly, we were strong-willed parents, and we set boundaries and guidelines. But in the last year and a half, he had turned the corner, and he was doing really well. It was one of those things that, like I said, in hindsight, over Christmas, you reflect back, and there were certainly some warning signs that we could have dug deeper on, but he was one of those kids that he just didn't want to talk to anybody about anything. He was the go-to guy in his group of friends.
And he was shouldering the burdens of a lot of troubled friends, I think, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, since Dylan passed away, I've reached out to some of those friends and sort of have been talking to them and sort of, being someone who comes alongside of them and just sort of listens to, what they have to say. And a lot of these kids, and I think Jerry mentioned it, they just want to talk sometimes. And, as parents, from the get-go, we're always trying to do right for our kids and set them on the right path. And, sometimes you just sort of want to come alongside kids and let them talk. And sometimes it isn't the parents. And
I said this last week. I just a reminder, an alert to us all, that as parents, we're often not the one that's going to get through.
Right.
It might be an older person in some other forum that's going to be the trusted listening ear. I was sweetly surprised to hear you have more young people in your house now than you did when Dylan was here.
Yeah, Dylan's friends as well.
They're coming.
They've been amazing to stand by us, to phone on his birthday, to phone on Mother's Day and Father's Day. And they're hurting. They're really missing him, and they're shocked. And they're actually really gentle, sweet kids. They care a lot.
You probably wouldn't say this, but it sounds as if you have a ministry out of this tragedy.
I don't know, it's troublesome.
Don, you say in the book, Dylan had all 5 marks of a tiger, an Uxbridge tiger.
Well, I can tell you that his teammates, when Dylan was in goal, they knew he had his back. He was a fierce competitor and one of those unusually sacrificial teammates that would do anything for his team. So that's true. And I know that we've been through a lot together. It's interesting as you talk about other voices in a young person's life and the importance of that. Of course, we try and do that as hockey coaches and using the medium of sport, so to speak, and how, you know, the fun of that to try and help young people with their own lives and character. It's why we feel sort of the guilt of a failure in this case as well.
I was moved by your comment here, and you're very vulnerable about, you know, weighing everything and what you might do differently, and you would add a character trait. Tell us what you wrote in the book.
Yes, I mean, we try to teach our players characters, so we assign a character trait to each player each year, and their task is to help the rest of the team exhibit that trait. So whether it's responsibility or courage or industriousness or honesty, I wish I had assigned the trait live to Dylan, and made sure that he
reinforced it.
He did that, reinforced it, and
that may sound strange, but in the culture we are addressing, that's a voice that needs to be heard, isn't it?
Yeah.
Live, young people, choose life.
Well, one thing that's interesting in talking to some of these kids that it absolutely astounded me when talking to them about suicide. They said to me, one kid in particular said to me, if any kids say that they're not thinking about suicide, from time to time, they're lying to you. He goes, I think about it every day.
Unthinkable.
I mean, and that's, part of our reason for what we're doing is to show that there is some hope. There is, hope in something else. And obviously from our standpoint, we believe it's hope in Christ that can help some of these kids.
Oh, the media is delivering some ugly messages. I went online yesterday and discovered, quote, an awesome way to off yourself with a video of Niagara Falls. Right. Well, who thinks like that? And I think, Don, you've addressed, Jerry certainly has emphasized, that we're in a war of the worlds, the kingdom of darkness and the kingdom of light. And, we're in that season in history where the forces are ramping up, and I think our young people have been targeted.
And Cheryl called it, what did you call it? The plague that's going across North America. And
what did your son write in an essay? What was the essay? Diary of an Uxbridge Writer.
Dylan had to write an essay. It was a diary for a creative writing class, and we're actually, when you write your book for kids, we'd like to give it to Dawn and Jerry, because Dylan recognized as he entered his rerun of grade 12, some of his friends had gone on to university, but that one of the opening sentences in his essay was, 5 years ago began my social climb and my intellectual demise, and he went on to describe in this essay about how you got caught up in the snowball, and some kids were lucky enough to fly off, but some got packed in so tightly. And he was recognizing the danger in the lifestyle, and Dylan was a rebel. Like he gave us a run, and I remember a text from Don once that said maybe God can even use hockey. And Dylan recognized that where he wasn't safe, and he wanted to, and he told kids all the time about Christ, and you should be going to church, and he kind of had one foot in one place and the other foot in the other, and
You can hear the conflict in that essay.
You could hear it, and it's actually written in his scrawl, and I just snapped a photo of it because I wanted it. He didn't know I had taken a picture of it years ago. It was September 2009. But it was powerful, and it spoke really clearly of, he actually at one point said if, it was something about a battle zone, but he said if something is one thing, then Uxbridge is Armageddon. And he was making reference to, but it looked like he was looking at it in the past tense. I guess he wasn't.
Very mysterious. Dawn, you quickly, we have a couple of pictures of Dylan dressed to play. How has this affected your approach to the young people that you deal with on a regular basis?
Well, Moira, remember we come from a very small town with only one high school. So in a sense, this type of tragedy escapes no one. So I suppose we step up the transparency, the openness, the encouragement to talk about deeper issues. I think everyone in the school, from the principal to every teacher, every guidance counselor, all of our pastors in town, and every parent is concerned, and I think more open than ever to trying to talk through concerns with young people. One of the things in a community like ours, we and Pastor Allison and I spoke at Dylan's funeral, and of course there was a tremendous outpouring of support, and we, in a sense, don't want to celebrate the way Dylan died, and Jamie and Cheryl feel strongly about this message also. It's not something we want to celebrate, it's not something we agree with, it's not something we want encouraged. On the other hand, Dylan was a tremendous young man, an individual, a uniquely creative individual that God had made, and we want to celebrate his memory, but not necessarily the way he died. And so I would say that's another angle as a leader in the community that we must be clear about, so that the celebrations about Dylan himself as a person, not what he did.
3 suicides in 3 years at the only high school in Uxbridge. So very important message. I'm glad we have another segment with you folks and Dawn. The eulogy is profound. I think it's very poignant, and it's part of your chapter, Dawn, on Dylan in Why They Die. I hope you'll get your copy. Stay with us. We'll be back with these three in this hour.